The grand hall of the alien palace was silent when Ethan Ward, a human engineer, walked forward. The air shimmered with blue light, and thousands of alien nobles stared down from their crystal balconies. At the end of the hall sat the Emperor of Varion, his tall form covered in armor that glowed with shifting colors like living metal. Ethan had never been in a place like this. Just a week ago, he had saved one of the Emperor's warships that had lost power near a collapsing star. Using nothing but his repair drone and a bit of luck, he had stopped the explosion that could have killed thousands. The aliens called him the human with fire in his mind. Now he was standing before the Emperor, unsure why he had been summoned. Human Ethan, the Emperor's voice echoed like thunder mixed with silk. You have done something no Varian engineer could do. You repaired the pulse core with your bare hands. For this act, the Empire owes you a gift. Ethan tried to speak, but his voice caught. Your Majesty, I didn't do it for reward. The Emperor lifted a hand, silencing him. All deeds are rewarded. All debts must be paid. At his command, 2 armored guards rolled in a large metallic box. It was black and smooth without a single seam. Strange golden symbols glowed across its surface, pulsing like a heartbeat. The hall whispered. Even the nobles seemed unsure what was inside. Ethan stepped closer. What is it? The Emperor's eyes gleamed beneath his mask. A treasure from the heart of my world. A companion for your lonely human journey. A gift of loyalty and service. A chill ran down Ethan's spine. He didn't like the way the Emperor said service. The box was placed before him. It was heavy, humming faintly as if something inside was breathing. A single label appeared in glowing alien script, then changed into English letters. Unbox me. Ethan blinked. Is this a joke? But the Emperor only smiled. Take it, human. The box belongs to you now. The audience erupted in applause that sounded more like growls. Ethan wanted to refuse, but no one said no to an emperor. He bowed stiffly and accepted the gift. Guards sealed the box with energy chains and loaded it onto his small transport shuttle. When Ethan finally left the shining palace, his chest felt heavy. He didn't feel honored. He felt trapped. Hours later, his ship drifted through the cold black of space. Stars shimmered beyond the windows like silent witnesses. The box sat in the middle of the cargo bay, glowing faintly. Ethan tried to ignore it. But every few minutes he heard something, and a soft thump, a tiny movement, almost like someone shifting inside. He told himself it was just the engine vibrations. But then the box whispered. A soft voice, almost human, came through the metal. Is it safe? Ethan froze. He stared at the box. His heart began to pound. Who's there? He said aloud. Silence. He ran a scanner over the box. No response, just a faint life signal. The data showed? Humanoid shape, breathing, heartbeat, weak, but steady. He stepped back, shocked. The Emperor had given him a living being inside a box like cargo. Damn it, Ethan muttered, rubbing his forehead. What did they do to you? The box whispered again, softer this time. Please, unbox me. He hesitated. His training told him never to open unknown alien tech. But the voice, it wasn't a machine. It sounded scared. He grabbed his plasma cutter and sliced along the glowing seams. Sparks flew and the air filled with the scent of ozone. When the last seal broke, the box hissed open with a breath of cold mist. Inside lay a woman. Her skin shimmered with faint violet light, smooth like polished glass. Her long white hair floated slightly as if gravity forgot her. She was wearing a thin ceremonial wrap covered in golden marks. Her eyes opened, deep silver glowing faintly. She looked up at him and whispered, Are you my new master? Ethan stumbled back. No, I'm not. Her hand trembled as she reached toward him. Then please tell me I'm free. He had no answer. He didn't even understand the question. The box's lights faded to black and a strange pulse moved through the floor. His wristband blinked. A link established. An alien signal merged with his biochip. A line of text appeared on his screen. Neural bond activated. Ownership confirmed, human Ethan Ward. He stared in horror. No. The woman, the alien, shivered and whispered, I belong to you now. It cannot be undone. Ethan felt the words like a knife in his chest. He had never believed in slavery, not on any world. But the Emperor had made him part of something dark. The stars outside burned bright, but inside the ship, silence filled the air. He looked at her again, fragile, frightened, and completely real. "I don't want a slave," he said softly. "I just want to help you." Her silver eyes met his, shining with tears. "Then you'll have to fight the one who owns us both." The box closed itself with a metallic click, as if sealing a promise neither of them understood. Ethan stared at it for a long time, his heart thundering. He didn't know yet, but the moment he opened that box, the war between human freedom and alien control had already begun. Ethan could not sleep that night. The hum of the engines filled the silence, and the strange alien woman lay still on the med table, breathing softly. Her pale hair glowed faintly in the dim light, drifting like silk threads in the ship's recycled air. He kept staring at the blinking words on his wristband. Neural bond active, linked subject, Lyra 7. He whispered the name. Lyra. It felt more human than he expected. Her vitals showed signs of stress, low temperature, and neural interference. He covered her with a thermal blanket and sat beside her. "What did they do to you?" he murmured. When the ship's lights dimmed to night mode, he finally closed his eyes. A few hours later, a soft sound made him jump. The blanket slid to the floor. Lyra was sitting up, her silver eyes open wide. She looked lost, confused, and afraid. "Where am I?" she asked softly. Her voice trembled like broken glass. Ethan stood quickly, raising his hands. "You're safe. You're on my ship." Her eyes flickered as if scanning his face. "Your ship? Then you are my owner?" He felt the words like a punch. "No, I'm not your owner, Lyra, you're free." But she shook her head. "You can't say that. The bond was sealed. You hold the key. I feel your heartbeat in my head." Ethan checked his wristband again. The link pulse matched his heart rhythm exactly. She wasn't lying. They were connected. He tried to deactivate the signal, but the interface locked him out with red alien symbols. "Who made this system?" he muttered in frustration. Lyra lowered her gaze. "The Emperor. I was created to please him. But he said I was too curious, too human, so he gifted me away." Ethan froze. "Gifted you?" She nodded slowly. "To you. He said humans like loyalty. He wanted to see if a human heart could own what it pities." For a moment, Ethan couldn't breathe. "That monster—" Lyra flinched at the tone of his voice. "Please don't be angry." Anger hurts through the bond. He forced himself to calm down. "I'm sorry. I didn't mean to scare you." Her silver eyes softened. "You speak gently. No one has ever spoken to me like that." He crouched beside her. "You're not an object. You're alive. You have a name, a mind. That makes you free, no matter what your emperor says." She studied his face carefully, as if trying to read his thoughts. "You really believe that?" "I do." For the first time, she smiled. It was small, uncertain, but beautiful. Then her body jerked suddenly. A flash of blue light burned across her skin. She screamed and fell back. Ethan grabbed her shoulders. "What's happening?" "Control pulse," she gasped. "They're calling me back." He looked at his screen. A signal was coming from deep space, encrypted in Imperial code. The Emperor's system was trying to recall the bond. Ethan slammed the console, activating his jammers. "Stay with me, Lyra." "I'll block it." Her body convulsed as glowing circuits spread across her arms and neck. "If I resist, it hurts." "It always hurts." "Not this time," Ethan shouted. "I won't let them control you." He rerouted power to the shields, flooding the ship with interference. Sparks flew, lights flickered, but the pulse weakened. Slowly, her body relaxed. The blue light faded. When it was over, she was shaking and drenched in sweat. He held her hand until her breathing slowed. Why are you helping me?" she whispered. "Because no one else will," he said simply. She looked at him for a long time, as if trying to understand something new. "Humans, you fight even when you cannot win." He gave a small smile. "It's what we do best." She laughed weakly, then coughed. "You should have left me in the box. It was safer there." "Safer isn't living," he replied. Lyra turned her head toward the stars outside the viewport. "I never saw them before." The palace walls hid the sky. Ethan followed her gaze. The galaxy stretched endless and bright beyond the glass. "Now you'll see all of it," he said softly. But deep inside, he knew it wouldn't be that easy. The Emperor wouldn't give away something so powerful without reason. As Lyra drifted into exhausted sleep, Ethan looked again at the alien code on his screen. Hidden in the data was a faint pattern, a tracker embedded in her neural signature. Someone was still watching. He shut off the console and whispered to himself, "You're not a gift, Lyra. You're a message, and I need to find out who it's really for." In the corner of the medbay, the metallic box flickered once with a red light, then went dark again, as if it had hurt him. Ethan hadn't left the medbay for hours. The hum of the ship surrounded him, low and steady, but inside his chest everything felt stormy. Lyra slept on the table, her skin faintly glowing under the soft blue lights. Every few minutes her fingers twitched, as if her dreams were fighting something unseen. He checked his wristband again. The neural link was still active. Their heartbeats flashed on the same rhythm, their brainwaves brushing like faint shadows. He whispered, "What did they turn you into?" Lyra stirred and slowly opened her eyes. "You're still here. Where else would I be?" he said. "You should have left," she replied softly. "When the bond forms, it's dangerous for you too. My pain becomes your pain. My fear becomes yours." Ethan gave a tired smile. "Then I guess we share everything now." She studied him with quiet curiosity. "You're strange for a human. I've been told that before." He moved to his console and began scanning her again. The readings were unlike anything he'd ever seen. Her body was a mixture of organic and synthetic cells, all powered by something like quantum bioenergy. A miracle of engineering, or a crime against nature. Lyra sat up slowly. "You're trying to understand me, aren't you?" He nodded. "If I understand the bond, maybe I can break it." Her expression darkened. "Break it? No one has ever broken an imperial bond. It's made to last until death." Ethan crossed his arms. "Then maybe it's time someone did." Lyra hesitated, then said quietly, "You don't know what happens if you try." "Tell me." She looked away, her voice trembling. "The bond core is alive. It learns, it defends itself. When someone tries to cut it, it attacks the minds of both hosts. The last one who tried went insane." Ethan's throat tightened. "Then I'll be careful." She reached out suddenly, grabbing his wrist. The touch sent a faint pulse through the link. He felt her heartbeat directly in his nerves. "Don't," she whispered. "If you get hurt because of me, I couldn't bear it." For a moment, they just stared at each other, human and alien, caught in something neither had chosen. Then, without warning, Ethan's console beeped. An incoming signal, encrypted, faint but there. He tapped the screen and strange symbols filled the display. Lyra's eyes widened. "That's the Emperor's encryption. What does it say?" She swallowed hard. "He's calling the bond home. He's testing it. He wants to see if I obey or if you do." Ethan frowned. "He's testing me?" "Yes," she said. "If you command me, the Emperor will know. He'll see if you treat me like a tool." He turned off the receiver and said firmly, "Then he'll see nothing." But the moment he did, the ship shook violently. Systems flickered. The bond emitted a sharp tone, and both Ethan and Lyra cried out in pain. It was like someone was burning their minds from the inside. Ethan fell to his knees, clutching his head. Through the pain, he heard her scream his name. "Ethan, stop resisting. It's forcing the obedience loop." "Then help me override it," he shouted. She reached toward him, pressing her hand over his chest. "Focus on me." The link flared with light. Images flashed in both their minds. Her memories of the palace, of being trained by machines that whispered commands into her skull, of standing before the Emperor's cold eyes as he said, "You will learn what loyalty means." Then Ethan's memories flowed into her, the chaos of the collapsing star, the crew he saved, the Earth he left behind. For a brief second, they were the same person, seeing through each other's pain, and then silence. The signal stopped. The lights dimmed. The pain vanished as quickly as it came. Lyra collapsed into his arms, trembling. You blocked him." "No one ever blocks the Emperor." Ethan held her close, heart still racing. "Then maybe he's not as untouchable as he thinks." She looked up at him, her eyes shining with awe and fear. "You changed the link. It doesn't feel like control anymore, it feels shared." He looked at the readings. She was right. The data had rewritten itself. Instead of owner and subject, it now said, "Neural symbiosis established, dual command active." "What does that mean?" he asked. Lyra smiled faintly. "It means we're equals now. But it also means the Emperor will hunt you. He cannot allow balance in his design. Ethan stood and helped her to her feet. Let him come. I don't run from bullies. Not human, not alien. She touched his hand gently. You're not like any human I've met, he smirked. You've only met one. She laughed softly, but her eyes stayed sad. If he finds us, he'll destroy the ship. He'll destroy you. Ethan turned toward the stars. Then we'd better find him first. Far away in the shining towers of the Varian Palace, the Emperor watched a flicker of red light vanish from his console. His lips curved into a cold smile. So, the human thinks he can rewrite my creation, he said quietly. Let's see how long his compassion survives the bond. For 2 days, Ethan's ship drifted through the quiet black of space. The stars outside looked peaceful, but inside the ship, tension hung like smoke. Ethan hadn't slept much. He was busy trying to understand the new link that joined him and Lyra. Every time she moved, he felt it, every heartbeat, every small emotion. Like a whisper inside his own chest, Lyra, meanwhile, stood by the viewport, watching the swirling lights of a nebula. Her pale skin shimmered softly against the glow. She looked calm, but Ethan could sense the storm beneath her silence. You're afraid, he said quietly. She turned, surprised. You can feel that too? He nodded, a little. It's like your emotions brush against mine, Lyra sighed. Then you know the truth. He's coming for us, Ethan frowned. The Emperor? She nodded. He won't let me stay free. I was his experiment. I was made to serve his empire's pleasure houses. But I was something else too, a weapon that learns. My bond was his test. If a human broke it, it would mean his control could fail. Ethan leaned against the console. So now he wants to erase the evidence? Yes, she said softly. He'll send hunters. Loyal ones. They never miss, he thought for a moment. Then we'll find a place to hide. Somewhere they can't reach us, but before she could answer, the ship's alarm blared. Warning, incoming warp signature. Multiple vessels detected. Lyra's eyes widened. It's too late. Ethan raced to the cockpit and pulled up the scanners. 3 massive ships appeared on the radar, Varian war cruisers. The Emperor's mark burned bright on their hulls. They tracked us, Ethan muttered. But how? Lyra's voice broke. It's the bond. He's using me to trace your ship. Ethan turned to her. Then we end it now. He ran to the medbay and grabbed the metal box, the same one she had been trapped in. Its surface pulsed with dark light. The moment he touched it, alien symbols glowed across its sides. The Emperor's voice filled the ship, cold and powerful. Human Ethan Ward, you have taken what belongs to the throne. Surrender the concubine and I will grant you mercy. Ethan shouted back, She's not your property. Lyra flinched as the Emperor's voice echoed in her mind. Disobey and your body will tear itself apart. She fell to her knees, gasping as light flared beneath her skin. Lyra. Ethan ran to her side, holding her as the light burned brighter. Fight it. Don't let him control you. Tears streamed down her cheeks. I can't, it's inside me. He looked at the box again. It was the key. The command core that linked her to the Emperor. If he could destroy it, maybe she'd be free. But the Emperor spoke again. Touch that box and her heart will stop. I am merciful, human. Place her back inside and I'll let you live. Ethan's jaw tightened. You call this mercy? He reached for his plasma cutter. I call it slavery. The Emperor's laughter echoed like thunder. You'll kill her. Ethan hesitated, his hands shaking. The cutter glowed in his grip. Lyra looked up, tears in her eyes. Ethan, do it. What? Destroy it, she whispered. Even if it kills me, I'll die free. He froze, unable to breathe. No, there has to be another way, she smiled weakly. You humans always believe there's another way. That's why you scare him. Her body convulsed again, the Emperor forcing control. The lights flickered, alarms screamed. Outside, the Varian ships closed in. Ethan made his choice. He slammed the cutter into the box. Sparks exploded, filling the air with smoke and heat. The Emperor's voice turned into a furious roar. Foolish human. The box screamed, yes, screamed like something alive being burned. Then it burst open, releasing a wave of golden light that threw them both to the floor. When the light faded, the box was gone. Only ashes remained. Lyra lay motionless beside him. Ethan crawled to her, his heart hammering. Lyra, wake up! Her chest didn't move. He pressed his ear to her heart. Nothing. Please. He whispered. Don't go. Then faintly he felt a soft pulse, not in her but inside him. His wristband blinked once. A message appeared in glowing letters. Neural transfer complete. Her bond had merged with him, her life now shared within his own neural code. Outside the window, the enemy ships were charging weapons. But Ethan didn't move. He just held her still body in his arms, whispering, "I'll protect you, even if I have to fight the whole empire." And then, her fingers twitched, her eyes opened, glowing brighter than before. The circuits across her skin had changed color, now matching the soft blue of Ethan's ship. She looked at him and smiled faintly. "You broke the box, and I'm still here." He laughed in relief, pulling her close. "You scared the life out of me." But she whispered, "No, Ethan. We scared him." The Emperor felt it. He knows his control can be broken. Ethan looked out at the fleet closing in. "Then let's show him what free minds can do." He turned to the console and the ship's engines flared alive. Lyra touched the screen, and for the first time her touch merged with his command. The ship responded like it was part of both of them. Together they dove into the stars, leaving behind trails of light, and an empire now trembling with fear. The ship trembled as the stars outside turned into long white streaks. Ethan gripped the controls tightly while Lyra sat beside him, her silver eyes glowing faintly. The Varian fleet was still behind them, chasing through the deep black of space. Explosions flared in the distance, plasma bolts tearing through empty void. One shot grazed their ship, shaking the hull so hard that alarms screamed in every corner. "Shields at 30%, Lyra said, her voice calm, but her hands trembling. "They won't stop until they destroy us." Ethan's eyes stayed on the screen. "Then we make them miss." He pulled the ship into a spiral dive, cutting through debris fields of old satellites and drifting wrecks. The engines howled as they twisted between metal shards and broken stations. Each move threw them closer together, their neural bond syncing their thoughts like two minds flying as one. For the first time, Ethan realized he could sense her instincts, the way she anticipated danger a second before the radar did. She was seeing the universe differently, faster, sharper. "You're reading the enemy patterns," he said. "I was trained for it," she replied quietly. "Concubines were designed for more than beauty. We were made to sense emotion, to predict it, even from ships and weapons. It's how we survived the palace." He nodded, adjusting the controls as plasma fire flew past. "Then use it. Help me see what you see." Her eyes glowed brighter and suddenly his vision changed. Through the link he saw flashes. The positions of the enemy ships, the movement of their gunners, the pulse of their targeting systems. He gasped. "You're showing me the future." "No," she said softly. "Just the fear behind it." He smiled faintly. "That's enough." Together they moved like a single mind. The ship spun through a narrow asteroid field, using every rock for cover. Two of the chasing ships collided, trying to follow, bursting into clouds of flame and dust. Lyra's voice came through his mind now. Not spoken, but felt. "Left. Now dive." "Don't stop," Ethan obeyed. Their bond pulsed like living light, guiding every move. For the first time they weren't running. They were fighting back. After minutes of chaos, silence returned. The radar blinked clear. The Varian ships had fallen behind, lost in the asteroid field. Ethan let out a long breath. "We did it." Lyra smiled faintly. "For now." He leaned back in his chair, sweat dripping down his forehead. "Remind me never to make you angry." Her smile grew softer. "I would never harm you." He looked at her closely. "You're different now. Since the box was destroyed, you're stronger." She nodded slowly. "The Emperor's control is gone, but something else took its place." What do you mean?" "Our bond," she said. "It's not master and slave anymore. It's equal, shared. When you act, I feel it. When I think, you hear it." Ethan glanced at her, his heart beating fast. "Then we really are one team." She looked down shyly. "More than that. The bond isn't just energy, Ethan. It's emotion. It learns from us. It grows." Before he could answer, the ship's console beeped. A signal flashed on screen. An incoming transmission from deep space. He frowned. "Another fleet?" Lyra shook her head. "No, that's not the Emperor's code. It's a rebel frequency." "Rebels?" She nodded. "Not everyone serves the Emperor willingly. Some of my kind escaped years ago. They live hidden in the ghost systems." Ethan smiled. "Then let's find them. Maybe they can help us." But when he tried to reply to the signal, a sharp pain stabbed through his head. He clutched his temples. The bond flared red. Lyra cried out, grabbing his arm. "He's trying to break through again!" The Emperor's voice echoed in both their minds, deep, cold, powerful. "You run well, little human, but you cannot run forever. She is mine. She was built to obey." Lyra screamed in defiance, pressing her forehead to Ethan's. "You'll never control me again." Ethan shouted through the pain. "Lyra, fight him with me." Their link erupted with blinding light. Every star outside flickered as if reacting to their power. Through the connection, Ethan felt everything. Her fear, her anger, her hope, and pushed back with all his strength. "I don't care what you built her for." Ethan roared. "She's not your weapon." "She's alive!" The Emperor's presence recoiled, fading into static. The pain vanished. The bond quieted. Lyra collapsed into his arms, breathing heavily. Her eyes shimmered with tears. "You fought him off again." "No one has ever done that." Ethan smiled weakly. "Then maybe he's never met a human before." She laughed softly, resting her head against his shoulder. "Or maybe he's never met someone stubborn enough to care." The console beeped again, this time clear. The rebel signal returned, with coordinates flashing across the screen. Ethan whispered, "Looks like we've got friends waiting." Lyra closed her eyes, smiling through exhaustion. "Then let's go find them, before the Emperor finds us again." Ethan's hand brushed hers on the control panel. Together they set the ship toward the edge of the galaxy, into uncharted stars. But as they disappeared into the darkness, the Emperor's voice whispered faintly through the void. "Run, little human. Run until the stars fade. I will still find you." The stars stretched endlessly ahead as Ethan's ship glided through deep space. The engines hummed softly, carrying them toward the coordinates sent by the rebel signal. Lyra sat beside him, quiet and thoughtful, her silver eyes watching the glow of distant galaxies. For a while, neither of them spoke. The silence between them wasn't empty. It was heavy, full of everything they couldn't say. Finally, Ethan broke it. "You're worried?" Lyra looked up, a faint smile tugging at her lips. "You can feel that, can't you?" He nodded. "The bond doesn't hide much anymore." She sighed. "The rebels we're going to meet. They aren't like you. They've suffered under the Emperor for years. Some will see me as his creation, a symbol of their pain." Ethan glanced at her, his voice gentle. "Then I'll make them see who you really are." Before she could answer, the ship's proximity alert beeped. A massive shadow emerged ahead, a hidden asteroid base covered in metal towers and blinking lights. The rebel outpost. As they approached, a dozen small ships surrounded them, weapons charged. A voice came through the comms. "Unknown vessel, identify yourself or be destroyed." Ethan raised his hands as if they could see him. "I'm Ethan Ward, human." "We're not your enemies," the voice hesitated. "And your passenger?" Lyra stepped forward, her voice calm but firm. "My name is Lyra 7, once a concubine of the Varian throne. I'm free now." There was silence. Then the rebel commander replied, his voice colder. "Concubine units are Imperial property. If you're truly free, prove it." Ethan's jaw tightened. "Open your hangar. You'll see the truth for yourself." After a tense pause, the ships lowered their weapons. The hangar doors opened and Ethan's ship drifted inside. Inside the rebel base, the air was tense. Soldiers and engineers stared as Ethan and Lyra stepped out. Some looked in awe. Others looked in disgust. Her glowing skin and elegant movement made her look too perfect, too alien, among their scars and dirt. A tall woman approached, her right arm replaced with a metal prosthetic. "I'm Commander Rin," she said sharply. "You're lucky we didn't blow you apart. What do you want?" Ethan glanced at Lyra, then back at Rin. "Help. I need to break a neural bond, one that shouldn't exist." At that, the room went silent. Rin's eyes narrowed. "You're bonded to her?" "Yes," Ethan said, "but not by choice." Rin studied him for a moment, then turned to Lyra. "Do you want the bond broken?" Lyra hesitated. She looked at Ethan, really looked at him, and something in her chest twisted. "Yes," she said softly. "I think I should." Ethan's heart sank, but he didn't argue. "If that's what you want, then we'll do it." Rin nodded and motioned to her scientists. "Follow me." Hours later, they stood in a dark chamber filled with glowing machines. Cables ran along the walls like veins, and in the center was a table surrounded by scanning arms. This device, Rin explained, can sever the neural link. But it's risky. The bond is two minds woven together. When we cut it, there's a chance one or both of you won't survive. Ethan clenched his fists. What kind of chance? Half, Rin said simply. Maybe less. He looked at Lyra. You don't have to do this. She smiled gently. I do. You gave me freedom, Ethan. Now I have to make sure it's mine, not something borrowed from your kindness. He took a step closer. Lyra, if this bond goes, I might lose you. Forever. Her eyes shimmered with sadness. Then remember me as I was, not as his creation, but as your friend. He wanted to argue, to tell her that she was more than that, but his voice broke. Rin activated the machine. Lyra lay down on the table, her hands trembling. Wires connected to her temples, and a soft light pulsed from her skin. Ethan placed his hand over hers. I'm right here, he said quietly. I know, she whispered. The machine began to hum. The lights brightened until the whole room glowed. Ethan felt the bond react, his heartbeat sinking faster, his vision flickering with fragments of her memories, laughter, pain, stars, and the sound of her first words to him, "Unbox me." Then came the pain, sharp, unbearable. The bond fought back like a living storm. Ethan screamed, gripping her hand tighter. The machine sparked. Rin shouted, "It's rejecting the cut. The bond is defending itself." Lyra's voice came faintly through the chaos. Ethan, listen to me. You have to let go. He shook his head. Not without you. The machine burst in a shower of sparks. Alarms screamed. Then silence. Smoke filled the room. Rin coughed, waving it away. Systems offline. Is anyone alive? Ethan opened his eyes slowly. His hand was still in Lyra's, but the link was gone. His wristband was dark. She wasn't moving. Lyra, he cried, shaking her shoulders. Wake up! Her chest rose weakly. Her voice was barely a whisper. It worked. I'm free. He felt tears burn his eyes. Don't you dare leave me now. She smiled faintly, her voice fading. I'm not leaving. I'm just beginning again. Her hand fell limp in his. Rin stepped forward, scanning her. She's alive, barely, but the bond, it's gone. Ethan lowered his head beside hers. Then it's time the Emperor learns what freedom costs. The rebel base was quiet after the storm. The machines had been shut down. The air smelled faintly of ozone and burning circuits. Lyra lay unconscious on a recovery bed, her skin pale, her glow almost gone. Ethan sat beside her, hands trembling as he held hers. Every so often he looked at his wristband, weighing blank, silent, empty. The bond that had once tied their hearts together was gone. He should have felt relief. Instead, he felt hollow. Commander Rin stood in the doorway. She's strong, she said softly. She'll wake soon. Ethan nodded, eyes still fixed on Lyra. If the Emperor finds this base, she won't get the chance. Rin crossed her arms. He's already on his way. Your bond flare showed him where to strike. Ethan rose to his feet. Then we stop him here. Rin gave him a grim smile. You humans really don't know when to quit. Ethan looked back at Lyra one last time. Maybe that's our best quality. Hours later, alarms blared across the base. The Emperor's fleet had arrived. Colossal black ships blocking the stars, their engines roaring like thunder. Inside the command room, Ethan stood at the console while Rin's crew scrambled. Power up every cannon, shield, and drone, he ordered. Rin frowned. You've never fought a war like this. Those ships could erase a planet. Then they'll have to earn it, Ethan said. Before she could answer, the walls shook as plasma fire rained down. Explosions echoed through the halls. Lyra's voice came faintly through the intercom. Ethan. He froze. Lyra. You're awake? Her voice was weak but steady. I can feel him. The Emperor. He's reaching for me again. Even without the bond, he's calling my code. Ethan's stomach twisted. Then stay here. Don't let him pull you in, she whispered. He wants me alive. And you dead. The lights flickered, and for a second the air shimmered. A hologram of the Emperor appeared above the console. His face was calm, almost kind, but his eyes burned with power. So the human survives, he said slowly. And the concubine disobeys her maker. How poetic, Ethan glared. You call yourself a ruler, but all I see is a coward hiding behind slaves. The Emperor smiled thinly. You misunderstand. I gave your species a gift, a chance to command perfection. And what did you do? You tried to free it. Because freedom, Ethan said, isn't something you give, it's something we take. The Emperor tilted his head. Then take this. The hologram vanished and the floor erupted. A blast threw Ethan across the room. Fire and smoke filled the corridor. Rebel soldiers screamed as the walls split open. Through the chaos, Lyra staggered into view. Her body still weak, but her eyes burned with fierce light. Ethan, she called, running to him. He pushed himself up, coughing. You shouldn't be here. She smiled faintly. You shouldn't either. The Emperor's fleet had landed. Giant drones burst through the ceiling, glowing red. Lyra raised her hands, and the air around her shimmered with static energy. I can still feel traces of the bond. I can use it one last time. Ethan shook his head. No, you'll die. She met his eyes. I already died once. This time I'll choose it. Before he could stop her, she stepped forward. Her body glowed brighter and brighter until it was hard to look at her. Every drone froze midair. Through her, the Emperor's voice screamed, not calm anymore, but full of rage. You dare defy me? Lyra shouted back. I was made to obey, but I choose to be free. Her energy pulsed outward like a wave. Every drone exploded. The nearest cruiser outside lost power, its engines collapsing into fire. Ethan shielded his eyes. Lyra, stop. You'll burn yourself out. She turned to him, tears mixing with the light on her cheeks. You taught me what it means to choose. Now let me choose this. He stepped closer, shouting over the noise. Then choose to live. She smiled softly. If I live, he lives through me. If I end, so does his control. Ethan's heart broke. Lyra, her glow became blinding. The Emperor's voice turned into a roar of static. Then silence. The light faded. Ethan fell to his knees, blinking through the smoke. The battlefield was quiet. The rebel base still stood. The Imperial fleet was gone, torn apart, drifting lifeless among the stars. And in the center of the scorched floor lay Lyra's body. Peaceful, still her face turned toward him with a faint smile. He crawled to her side, tears blurring his vision. You did it, he whispered. You stopped him. Rin entered behind him, stunned. All ships disabled. The Emperor's command signal is gone. Ethan brushed a strand of silver hair from Lyra's face. She ended an empire. Rin looked at him quietly. What will you do now? He lifted Lyra's hand gently. I'll bury her where she can see the stars. As he carried her to the airlock, the broken galaxy stretched before him, quiet for the first time. He opened the hatch, letting her drift out into the endless dark, her body glowing faintly like a new star born from war. He whispered, You weren't my gift, Lyra, you were my answer. The stars shimmered, and for a brief moment one of them flickered in soft silver, like her eyes watching him one last time. Ethan turned the ship toward the unknown, his heart heavy but steady. Humanity had lost one life today, but gained a legend that would echo through the galaxy forever.